And thanks so much for watching our live stream. I'm Will Dupree here in the KXAN live studio. We're about to carry a news conference being held virtually, of course, from the city of Austin, talking about expanded program benefits from a rental assistance fund that the city set up to help people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take a listen as they detail those changes, and you'll hear a familiar voice from those of us here at KXAN. Our Alyssa Gord, a reporter here at KXAN, is acting as the pool reporter, so you'll hear her as well. So let's take a listen as this news conference gets underway.
Have an opportunity for reporters to ask questions. We have a pool reporter, Alyssa Gord from KXAN, has graciously agreed to serve as that pool reporter. And so reporters, if you'll go ahead and submit your questions through the form provided, she'll be able to ask them at that part of the press conference. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nefertiti to talk about the rent program. Nefertiti?
Yes. Good morning, and thank you very much, Jeff. My name is Nefertiti Jackman, and I work for the Housing and Planning Department, and I'm here to just share with you about our program, the Relief of Emergency Needs for Tenants. We call it RENT, which is a program that was launched, a $12.9 million program, and it's the city's robust response to provide emergency rental assistance to low-income households that have been financially impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have placed a priority on households who are earning 30% or less of the median family income, as well as communities of color, which data has shown have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. To date, we are proud to say that more than 2/3 of the households served through this program have been at 30% median family income and below. We really want to highlight and let the community know that there is still funding available. We're working with our partner, the Housing Authority for the City of Austin, to ensure that the CARES funds that have been allocated for this program for rental assistance, we want to make sure that those funds are expended by the December 31st deadline, and we are confident that that will happen. We also want families to know that if you have applied for this program, you only need to apply once. If you applied when we reopened it for August, you don't have to reapply again. Your application will remain in the system until all funds have been expended. What I really want to highlight today are the very important program changes, which we think will be a benefit to the many vulnerable households who still have not received assistance. And these program changes will also support some of the families who have already received assistance through the program. The first change is that direct rental assistance will be provided up to 6 months for all households earning less than 80% median family income. Previously, we provided 3 months of assistance to those families at 30% MFI and below. Today, the change will be that any household earning less than 80% median family income and below will be eligible to receive up to 6 months rent. This includes the period from March 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. In addition to that, households are deemed eligible at the time that applications are submitted. So it will not be necessary that households resubmit a certification from month to month, right? So once you apply and you're considered eligible, everything has been verified, that's it. We will continue to receive feedback. We thank all of the various community partners who have provided feedback to us about the program, and we will continue to receive that feedback to ensure that this program remains adaptive to meet the unique needs of our community, and we will continue to work with our partners to enhance the program so that we can ensure that we are meeting the needs of the most vulnerable populations in our city. And I'd like to turn it over to Pilar, who is working with us, our representative from HACA, to provide more information on specific program details. Pilar?
Thank you, Nefertiti. So applicants are eligible if they still owe rent for the months of March through December of 2020. If their income has been impacted by the pandemic, their income before COVID and today are at or below 80% of the median family income, which is about $29,000 for a family of one and $78,000 for a family of four. And they live within the city's full purpose jurisdiction limits. They can't be a full-time student whose rent is being paid by someone else, and they can't be receiving federal rental subsidies in programs like Section 8 and public housing. Those programs already have a similar safety net. Applicants receiving other assistance through non-federal funds, such as the RISE program, they're still eligible for this rent assistance. If you were approved prior to the policy change, just like Nefertiti stated, we will contact you to see if you still have outstanding rent for the months between March and December and help you receive that additional assistance. The documents that we will need, the most important documents that we need for your application will be proof of income for both 2019 and your current income, proof of the income loss due to the pandemic, a copy of the lease, an ID for the head of household, and while a social security number is requested through the application, it is not required. That question can be skipped. The application process includes first registering by creating a user ID and password in the application portal, returning to that account at any time to start your application or complete it. You complete the application questions and upload the documents. And then every Friday at noon, we randomly select more applications from all those successfully submitted into the system to screen for eligibility. Once certified eligible, we contact the landlord and we request documents from the landlord for the file. And once deemed fully eligible, then we pay the landlord directly on behalf of the applicant. As far as timeline, we are taking applications until January 31st of 2021, or until the funds are expended, whichever comes first. But just remember, regardless of when the applicant submitted the application, their application can still be randomly selected to be screened for eligibility when we randomly select more applications to process on Fridays. And I'll turn it back over to Jeff and Nefertiti.
Thank you very much, Pilar. Thank you very much, Nefertiti. We appreciate that. I'm going to turn now to Alyssa Gord, who is our pool reporter from KXAN, if she wants to go ahead and start asking the first question.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. Yes, my name is Alyssa. I'm a reporter with KXAN News. Our first question comes from Co-op Radio. Co-op Radio asked, is it necessary for individuals to be on formal leases to qualify for rent funds? For example, if in a multi-generational household owned by an adult child where an elderly parent contributes to rent money, can that elderly parent qualify for rent funds if they're not on a lease?
I can take that one. A lease is required. It can be an informal lease, but it does have to be a written rental agreement.
Got it. I actually just got a text message follow-up question to that. What about musicians or artists who share housing and are not on a lease? Would that be the same situation?
That would be the same situation, but there are different ways that we handle multiple people in one household. And so if everyone is on the lease, then we will treat that household as a family, as one household. There are cases where there's multiple people, but each one has their own lease. And in those cases, we'll take each individual at a time as a household, and we'll just assist them with their portion of the rent.
Got it. And one thing I wanted to clarify for folks who are following along here, out of that $12.9 million in the program, how much has been allocated so far?
We have approved a little over $4.7 million for, I think it's about 1,500 families and a little over 3,000 individuals making up those families.
Got it. Thank you. And we have a question from KUT. Have there been any cases of landlords not accepting the city's rent payment? If so, how frequently does this happen? Can you quantify that? And what reasons do landlords give for not accepting these funds?
We have had some situations, but there are a handful, very few, that where we have actually gotten to the point where we certify the applicant is eligible and then we reach the landlord. I would say 5, maybe 6, but probably less than 6 landlords did not want to participate, and they usually don't give a reason. Some of them don't want to sign the certification. Others are having other challenges with the applicant and don't want to disclose those. But it's been a handful. I will say that that we are having to wait a little bit longer than we expected from with landlords to submit their documentation, but they're still participating. It's just taking them a little bit longer to get us the documents that are required.
Okay, and we have another question here from Co-op Radio. Co-op Radio asked, is this funding some of the last of Austin's CARES federal funding? Because no new federal funding is likely available for the new year, and the demand for rent assistance will likely be on the rise. What else can the state, county, and city have to offer when this funding is gone?
All right. At present, this is all that we have currently, the city of Austin has currently been allocated through the CARES funding. We are in the process. Other funding sources have come up. We do anticipate whether we add it to this program or we have a new iteration, as new funding becomes available, we will continue to meet the needs of Austin renters. And certainly city leadership has shared with us, if at the time we see that we are out of funding, we want to revisit with staff to see what other things that we can do as a city to make sure that we have the capacity to respond to the needs of Austinites. So we are receiving some additional funding, which will probably be available after this program. So early 2020. Will it be enough? We cannot say that at this time, but we will continue to look at things as they develop.
Got it. Thank you. Another question for you from us at KXAN. I know that, Pilar, you mentioned the number of people who've been awarded funding. Can you tell us how many people have applied for rent funding so far? And do you think there are more people who are eligible to apply who have not already done so?
As of this morning, we've received a little over 6,200 applications, almost 6,300. The marketing efforts have been extensive. We believe that we have gotten out the word. We've been to several community events. There's been thousands, tens of thousands of door hangers from the city and from other organizations put out. A lot of news media coverage, even purchased media. I think that the word is out, and we're hoping that more people will apply now that the assistance is deeper and that it's longer lasting.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question from KUT here. KUT asked, what kinds of documents does the city request from the landlord?
We need a copy of the lease, or actually we get the copy of the lease from the applicant. If the applicant can't get it, we'll try and get it from the landlord. That landlord does have to sign a certification accepting the assistance on behalf of the applicant. And they have to submit a W-9 because they will receive a 1099 at the end of the year. And they also need to submit documentation as to how they want to be paid. It could be a direct deposit form or who we make the check out to.
Got it. Thank you. And we have a couple more questions from KXAN. I wanted to ask both Pilar and Nefertiti, among the people who've applied so far, are there any trends that you're noticing among who the types of people are that are applying or what they're asking for?
When you, okay, I'll answer the first part, and if the reporter has any additional information in terms of what they're asking for, that's not clear to me. So if you can get clarification on that, I'm happy to do my best and answer that. I will say things that we are seeing are consistent. What we're seeing in terms of the applicants are things which are consistent with vulnerable populations to displacement and female-headed households. I mean, we have over 50% of households are female-headed households. Additionally, we are seeing a larger number of communities of color as well. And then something that I think is very interesting, which is might not be alarming to some, but it is a trend. We have a significant number of people applying for rent, which are single-headed households. And I think that could be very unique to Austin, or it could be something that is nationwide. And I don't know, but it's a statistic that I continue to look at to try to understand, or at least put a radar or an extra lens, because what is showing me also is I think that single households are proving to be, based upon those who are receiving the assistance in this program, also more vulnerable to displacement. So it's just something that I have been made aware of as a result of who has been receiving assistance through this program.
Now, the only thing I'll add is an interesting information that we're seeing is that the families that were first only being assisted for 1 month because they were between 30 and 80%, they have a greater need. They were in arrears much more often than those at 30% and below. And so they need deeper assistance. Another interesting fact is that pre-COVID average income for these applicants was $28,000, and the current average income is $15,000. So there's been pretty much their income has been cut in half due to the pandemic.
Yeah. So I think just to add on to what Pilar is sharing about the vulnerability of households and the economic impact to those households, I think we see that there will be additional needs that people will have. In addition, and I was hoping to get clarification in terms of what the person was asking, but another trend that we see from the applicant, and this is applicant data, is that over 47% of the households are requesting assistance for utility assistance. So I think that's something also exposing the needs that families are having in addition to just rent alone.
Thank you so much for that. And Nefertiti, as for the clarification on that question, what I was referring to was one of our reporters, it looked like, interviewed you about a week ago. And some of the things that she noted after her conversation with you was that there was a significant number of Latino applicants for rent assistance, and that there was a large number of applicants from the 78741 zip code. Does that sound about right to you?
That does sound correct. Yes, that is correct. And I guess the number is significant. It varies, but we did see, I believe it's, and Pilar, please correct me, about 36% of households applied identify as Latinx.
Yeah, as of today, it's 38%.
Okay, so it has increased.
Okay, thank you. And I know we're talking about rent assistance specifically today, but we've continued to get a lot of questions about renter protections. At this point, do you have any sense of whether there will be a move from the city to extend renter protections past December 31st?
I can't speak specifically to, any eviction moratoriums. That is something that would come from the mayor's office. What we are doing with the additional funding that we have received, we are in the process of working with community-based organizations to provide additional services. One is a contract that has been approved for negotiation by the City of Austin City Council. We are working with Trella to provide eviction representation services. We know that as a result, if these protections are not continued, there will be certain households that will be facing eviction, and that's unfortunate. The good thing is we are trying to not only provide a response to provide rental assistance, but also legal representation for households that might face eviction. And in addition to that, we are working and we're working on some other contracts to provide assistance to households, but until those go to City Council for approval, I'll just wait. But it's part of our larger effort to provide both a sustained response, because we understand that we knew before COVID that families were vulnerable to displacement, and tenant stabilization was one of the programs that we were working on to help keep families in their place. And so with the federal dollars, we've been allowed the opportunity with federal, and I will say also local dollars, we've been allowed the opportunity to provide a much greater response than we had previously planned for. So everyone can keep their eyes and ears open to additional support for families who are vulnerable to displacement as it relates to a COVID impacted need.
Thank you so much. It looks like we've hit the end of the questions that reporters have submitted for today, but one last thing I wanted to follow up on, just based on the number of messages that I've been getting. I know that there are people who are watching this who could potentially qualify for this assistance. If there's somebody who's watching this right now and is at home and has either already applied for rent assistance or is thinking that they might want to but are kind of nervous or apprehensive about it, what would you say to them?
Pilar, go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's a confusion as to whether they are eligible if they received RISE funds, and they aren't. I would say if you received RISE funds, please still apply for the rent program. The rent program is still going on. It did not end with RISE. And I would say that if you're having problems or the application, you need help with the application, please call our call center. And that number is 512-488-1397. There are also several community organizations that are providing step-by-step assistance on the application. And there are some that are going to be providing assistance in person as well, should somebody not have a computer or is having a hard time with the application. So please apply. The benefits can be significant, and we can definitely get you the help that you need to complete the application.
Great. I think those are all the questions that we had here on our list from reporters today. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add as we close this out?
I just really want to emphasize what Pilar said. I want to encourage families to call the helpline. The assistance is available. If it is challenging, there are community partners who are willing to assist people who need the help, or call the helpline. You know, the money is there, and I just want to encourage people to go through the process to get the assistance, and you know, people are there willing to help. Is it as easy as some of the other programs? No, it might not be, but I certainly hope that it will be worth your effort to get the assistance, and hopefully multiple months of assistance for the program if you are eligible. So we thank you very much for your time, and we certainly hope that the reporters, the community reporters and community-based organizations will continue to spread the word about the available assistance through rent.
If I may say something? The Housing Authority of the City of Austin is very proud to work with the City of Austin. We're a different organization. The city's been really quick to adapt. We've been learning through this process, and they quickly adapt. They're doing everything they can to ensure that as many people that need help are assisted, and they're making sure that people are being assisted as deeply as needed for longer lasting benefit. And we're just very happy to be a part of this program. It's been a successful program, and we're hoping that more people take advantage of it.
Thank you, Pilar. I think that's the city would say the same thing about us being very happy to be working with HACA on this program. I think it's been a terrific partnership. I think a lot of people have been helped by this, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do that for a lot more. Alyssa, I also want to thank you for agreeing to serve as the pool reporter. I will say to anyone watching who's interested, please, if you have other questions or you want to delve a little bit more deeply into the information about the RED program, you can come to the City of Austin's website for the program. It's www.austintexas.gov/rent. Very easy to remember. And just come, and there's a frequently asked questions site. There's a portal. There's all the information that you'll need. So if you have questions, please feel free to visit that site and reach out to us, and we'll see about addressing this further and trying to help. So again, on behalf of the city, on behalf of the Housing Authority of the City of Austin, I want to thank you guys for coming. If you have any other questions that come up and you're doing your story, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Will Dupree, once again here in the KXAN live studio. Thanks so much for watching our stream. Again, this was about the rental assistance that is being provided by the City of Austin, more than $12 million at this point, to people who are affected economically by the COVID-19 pandemic and struggling to pay rent in many instances. Our reporter, Alyssa Gord, was the pool reporter there, and you might have heard her asking some questions. Interestingly, they revealed that there are some changes to the program, which is expanding access to people here in the community that might need that kind of assistance to get by at this time, since the pandemic is far from over. One of the changes there is that direct rental payments are now available up to 6 months for some people that may fall within a certain income bracket. So previously it had been 3 months, and now that has been extended to 6 months, which is very important to point out. And also, if you are deemed eligible by the time you submit your application, you do not have to keep applying month to month. So they wanted to put that out there as well. Our reporter, Alyssa Gord, will be updating our web story about this information So if you are interested or know someone who could use this kind of help, we will have information on our website. Also, the city put out a number and a website for people to check out if they had any kind of questions. That number for the city's help center for this particular service is 512-488-1397. The website is www.austintexas.gov/rent. Pretty easy to remember there. Again, we will be updating our web story and putting up a lot of information here shortly on kxan.com, and you can also access that article on the KXAN News app, so you can download that as well. Thanks so much again for everybody for watching our stream. I'm Will Dupree. We'll see you back here throughout the day with additional updates. Please be safe and healthy, and remember to vote tomorrow if you have not done so already. See you later, everybody.